Hello and Testile everyone. Welcome to class 12 biology. In our last video, we discussed about Mendel's monohybrid cross, and in that particular video, I explained you a few important terms. And out of those important terms, I have a few questions for you. Have you understood the definitions or the meaning of a few important terms over here, like what is genotype, what is phenotype, right? What is homozygous, what is heterozygous? So if you haven't understood those important terms, I want you to revisit the video and try to get answers for these questions. All right. If you have understood that, we can continue with this particular video. In this video, we will try to study about Mendel's test cross. So what is test cross and what is its significance? So let's say we have a tall pea plant and a dwarf pea plant. The tallness and the dwarfness of the plants is known as their phenotypes. Right. As we have explained in our previous video, phenotypes are the observable characteristics of an organism which is influenced by their genotypes. So the tall pea plant, the tall is the phenotype of this particular plant. Dwarfness is the phenotype of this particular plant. However, the question is, can we determine the genotypes of these two individuals just by looking at their phenotypes? The answer is, for the dwarf plant, yes, we can, and we can safely say that the genotype of this dwarf pea plant is 2 small t's, or with 2 recessive alleles. That is, it is homozygous recessive. Why? Because it has got only one possibility. It has got only one possibility for its genotype, that is this one, homozygous recessive. Only in this particular condition, the plant will exhibit its or express its dwarf character, because the dwarf character is the recessive character. However, for the tall pea plant, there are 2 possibilities. Its genotype is of 2 possibilities. It can be either 2 capital T's, that is 2 dominant alleles, or it can be with a capital T and a small t, that is 1 dominant allele and 1 recessive allele. In the first case, if the plant has got 2 capital T's, the plant will be called as homozygous dominant. If the plant has got a capital T and a small t, then the plant will be called heterozygous dominant. So for the tall pea plant, it is of a little bit tricky to tell whether it is homozygous or heterozygous. Now the confusion regarding whether a tall pea plant is homozygous or heterozygous, how can we solve that? We can solve that with the help of a special cross known as a test cross. Right. So the test cross, what is test cross? In the test cross, what we do is we take the unknown tall pea plant and then we cross it with the dwarf plant. Why? Because we know the genotype of the dwarf pea plant, that is 2 small t's or with 2 recessive alleles. It is homozygous recessive. Right. So the test cross, you can figure out the definition from this particular step itself, from this particular instance itself, that a test cross is a cross between an organism with unknown genotype with an organism which is with known genotype. Now this test cross will help us in determination of the genotype of this unknown plant. So how does that happen? After crossing, we have to observe their offsprings. The ratio of their offsprings will tell us whether this unknown plant is homozygous or heterozygous. So let's go one by one. Right. So like I said, this unknown tall pea plant can be either homozygous or it can be heterozygous. So in the first case, let's say if this particular tall pea plant was homozygous dominant, then what will happen? It will produce gametes. Since it is homozygous dominant, this particular tall pea plant will produce only one type of gamete, that is with the dominant allele. And this dwarf pea plant will also produce only one type of gamete, that is with recessive allele. And when fertilization happens, the resulting combination in their offspring will be dominant allele and a recessive allele, that is heterozygous condition. And we know that in case of heterozygous condition, the phenotype of the individuals will be all tall. So over here, if all the offsprings were tall, then we can say that this unknown tall pea plant is homozygous recessive, homozygous dominant. Now in the second case, if this particular tall pea plant, if its genotype was heterozygous, right? Now what will happen? It will produce two types of gametes. The alleles will segregate during gamete formation, and it will produce two types of gametes. The first type of gamete will have capital T, that is the dominant allele, and the second type of gamete will have the small t or the recessive allele. The dwarf plant will continue to produce only one type of gamete. Right? So the resulting fertilization, this gamete, there are two probabilities. This gamete can fertilize with this gamete, there is chance, and the resulting plant will be tall. Again, this gamete can fertilize with this particular gamete. The resulting offsprings will be dwarf. So over here there are two possibilities, right? So there's a 50% chance that this particular gamete will fertilize with this gamete. This particular gamete will fertilize with this particular gamete. So that is the second 50% chance. So it will produce 50% tall pea plants and 50% dwarf pea plants. So now we are getting a ratio of 1:1. Now if we get the ratio of 1:1 in the offsprings, then we can say that the unknown tall pea plant is heterozygous. Right. So the test cross tells us whether this unknown pea plant or the organism with unknown genotype, whether it is homozygous or heterozygous. So in summary, I will answer this particular question. What is a test cross and what is its significance? So the test cross is the cross in which an individual of unknown genotype is crossed with a homozygous recessive individual. And what is the significance of this particular cross? The answer should be, the cross is used to determine the genotype of the unknown individual by observing the ratio of the offsprings. In the first instance, if all the offsprings are of same phenotype, then the unknown parent individual is homozygous dominant. And if there is a 1:1 ratio in the phenotype of the offsprings, then the unknown parent is heterozygous dominant. You can give an example, like I gave the tall and the dwarf pea plant. You can make a cross and then you can figure out the zygosity or the genotype of the tall pea plant. So I hope it is clear up till here what is test cross and what is it used for. So in the next video we will talk about Mendel's laws, which he brought forward or proposed by observing the results of his monohybrid cross. And these two laws are laws of dominance and law of segregation. So I hope you will do some reading regarding these two topics before you watch the next video as well. Thank you.